A cruel false alarm. I've been eagerly awaiting to hear back from a job I applied for last week. I got an email today and the subject line said welcome to our team. We're happy to have you. My heart immediately started pounding. I opened the email. It was an advertisement from a car dealership to offer employee price discounts to all loyal customers. Seriously? What kind of a sick joke is this? I want to call their marketing team and chew them out. Now the worst is every time your phone rings and you think hey this might be a new job interview only to answer a robocall. I've had a few of those this week too. The agony. Straight up I have my iPhone just silence unknown callers. If it's a potential employer, they have my email on file and I have a voicemail set up. I can't be arsed to deal with scam calls, especially when I'll sometimes get multiple per day. Or you answer in a rage when you've been robocalled for months and just happen to snap that day only to find out it was a job offer. Oops. Straight face. Literally did this yesterday. Face with tears of joy. It was a call from Chase Bank Face Massage. That burns. My worst was actually getting a legit offer and start day and signed it only to be strung along for a few weeks before being ghosted. Completely clean background too. They just for whatever reason ghosted. Nothing is certain until the first few months on the job. My other worst was getting laid off with a chunk of the team just 4 weeks into the new role because of budget cuts. Nothing is certain in this cruel world. I work in a professional field and it's sad but employers ghost. Once you get burned you learn to be careful with getting hopes up too soon. Best one can do is just keep applying and options open even a few months into the role. I had the same thing recently, had me drive out to interview then go with him to the school to shadow and scheduled me for training the next day. I go give my 2 weeks and let the guy know and he texts me back that they're going with someone else. Took me cooling off for a while to realize the dude just gave me an hours long sales pitch and I fell for it like a damn fool. Admittedly, I jumped the gun a little bit, but come on, scheduling someone for training at locations 60 plus minutes away mind you and then bailing? And of course when I asked if there was any reason or feedback I was promptly ignored. 'Tis a sad and frustrating world we live in. Sometimes you have to turn the tables and be a cruel person. I've been an asshole since I was 24y/0 now 30y/0. I got job offers from everywhere right now and I only have AH/S diploma. They need to be a little more sensitive this year, so many people are unemployed and this seems intentionally misleading. It might be their idea of a joke but seems kind of tone deaf. It's total clickbait, that's all. The email continued to insist that I should trade in my 2-year-old car that I bought from them so they can sucker me into higher payments. The nerve. I get emails from recruiters and so I perked up when I saw one that said something like Fortune 500 manager interested in your background, but when I opened it up it said, is what you could be hearing if you sign up for our training program. I complained about that one. Sometimes I report these as spam. This made me LOL. Be careful with companies that say we are like a family. Something similar happened to me. I first got an email saying congratulations you are shortlisted, got really excited, then got another email next day saying something like sorry we accidentally sent that email to all 153 applicants. Maybe I was happier when I was less aware of the competition. Yes. I got an invitation to interview and accepted. So happy. Then I got an email from the sender's manager in HR saying the underling had made a mistake and the invitation to interview was sent in error. Made me feel like crap. Call them back and inquire about the job you got, start discussing benefits, salary, time off, and COVID protections. To be frank that's likely to work. Lots of car dealerships hire sales staff on the basis of being able to fog a mirror. Sorry to hear that, maybe you will still get that same email title from the company you applied for. Fingers crossed for ya. Stay positive. Thanks. Ha 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 seriously can't stop laughing. At least you aren't me, man. I spent all of last week applying to jobs in a big city. Finally got the most promising opportunity and interview. Employer tells me I will hear back by the end of last week/early this week. I get a call the next day from the company telling me they loved me and are very excited to work with me. Heard nothing else all weekend. Today they emailed me to say, we have decided to go with another candidate. I got a sales email from a car dealership and the subject line was vehicle recall. I was pissed. They lost a potential customer. I can't hit the unsubscribe button on their email fast enough. They've a couple companies where I am that I'm constantly applying to jobs at. They are pretty big so something is always open. They still won't interview me though, but then turn around and send emails advertising open positions to me. I hate the ones that start with congratulations, and then go into you've made it into the next stage. Yesterday I got accepted for a job. Turns out it was a scam. Luckily they didn't have any of my personal information but I was so excited. I literally had a rejection email a couple of years back that didn't say as much in the subject line. It said thank you for applying, in a really positive tone. One of the few times in my job search I lost it and completely broke down. I get emails like that quite often, my eyes now just instinctively scan for the unfortunately. Before I get my hopes up. That's so cruel. especially in the time like nowadays. One place I applied to numerous times never responded about the job interview, but signed me up to their recruitment emails, spamming my inbox with how great their benefits and pay are. I'm like, I know, you jerks. Either hire me or leave me alone. Slime balls. That's the most shocking congratulations. We're sorry. It got you to open it though. That's most of the battle for email marketing lol. Correct boom. Made my Q4 numbers. This is why the internet is drowning in trash. It will be interesting to see what happens though. Asterisk grabs popcorn. Anybody graduated with a degree they regret? I graduated with a BS in health administration for hopes of getting a better job opportunity. Didn't enjoy my time getting it and wanted it to end ASAP. I wish I could done something in the arts like graphic design. Any regrets with you guys? Got a degree in microbiology and ended up in tech sales. Overall I don't regret my choice in major, but sometimes wish I had studied something more relevant to my career and less time consuming lol. That lol got me man. Got my BA in Spanish translation in 09, ended up in telecommunications. Looking back, I might have minored in Spanish and my BA in network information technology. I graduated with a bachelor's in HR last spring. Haven't had much luck with getting a job since it is pretty hard to break into HR without practical experience. Honestly speaking, I regret going down this path. After lurking around on this subreddit for maybe about 10 months now and my general experience dealing with HR, I've started growing resentful towards this field. Recruiters/HR ghosting applicants, being disorganized, being unprofessional, etc. just to name a few. And I feel that HR doesn't have the greatest of reputation for numerous other reasons aside from the things I listed above. I don't know if I really want to get into the field at this point. After working in a warehouse for about 3 years now, I figured I had more of an interest in logistics and supply chain management, but it doesn't justify going into more debt for a second business degree. I wished I had switched my major during university rather than deciding to tough it out. Sometimes, I also wonder what would have happened if I went with my original intent of getting a bachelor's in chemistry instead. I broke into the HR field by working inside the office of a staffing service. The job entailed interviewing candidates and placing them at temporary and long-term jobs. It gave me great practical experience in those key areas, and then I was able to find another job 3 years later that involved interviewing and hiring people. But then I was able to start doing new things in HR. Even though you're feeling disappointed by HR people as a candidate, don't let that turn you off. Just plan to do better when you're in an HR role eventually. I graduated with 2 degrees in geology only to discover that disabled geologists aren't a thing and getting hired was near impossible. I don't regret following my passion, but I regret the archaic thinking in the profession. What's your disability? Continue this thread. Not the degree but the university. I studied law at the university at home and it was horrible. I graduated from high school with a good GPA and the uni here was absolute shit. Did my master in the Netherlands and my grades skyrocketed. Should have studied abroad in the first place. Plus student life was way better in the NL. I studied English and had a minor in sociology. I kinda picked those because I was good at the subjects and not because I had a genuine interest in them. I also didn't know what else to study at the time tbh. I regret it now because I never really had any classes that dealt with anything relevant to careers in these fields. It was all just here's what this dead person said about this centuries ago. And while important, I was always envious of people who had more practical assignments and coursework based on the fields they were preparing to go into. If I were to do it again, I'd probably look to challenge myself a bit more. Maybe I would have been able to find something I was more passionate about and maybe it would have led to more practical/field related learning. Graduated with a BS in biology and totally regret it. It should have been a minor. The only real jobs that a biology degree can get you is some job working in a lab being a wet lab drone. You need a PhD to do any of the cool stuff. I should have majored in computer science, even though that's what I'm doing now with an emphasis on biology. How did you switch to computer science? It's funny because I do have that regret, but in the opposite way. I double majored and have a BA in film/video and theater, and although I don't really regret the theater degree, I wish I would have switched the film degree to something like accounting or computer science to give me a better chance at a good job. I was in media production and felt really duped. I lived in the Midwest and came from a small town. My college was like, average salaries for college graduates are $50K/year. That sounded pretty great and I could work in making movies, games, albums, whatever. Awesome. What they didn't explain is that most of the jobs for their positions were in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and that nearly all of them expect you to have bought a ton of your own equipment and made a portfolio to show your work. I couldn't afford the gear, and making $50K/year in some huge city wasn't all that different from making $30K/year in my small town at some factory. I tried to get an engineering degree but was unable to pass vector calculus. I ended up changing majors to environmental science to avoid all the math. It has been 3 years since I graduated and I've never worked in the field. The coursework was interesting, and I loved the lab work but it never transferred into an environmental job. I'm partway through a physics degree. How the hell does environmental science has markedly less math than an engineering degree? Surely it is all Navier-Stokes equations and variable fluid dynamics? Graduated with degree in psychology, which was incredibly interesting and I loved, but there were no jobs for someone with just a bachelor's. At least no good jobs. I ended up working as a caregiver for disabled adults for minimum wage. I then doubled down and got a master's in counseling. Again, I loved the degree and being a counselor, but when I started post-graduation jobs I learned that working as a counselor was not what I imagined. Pay was very little for someone with a graduate degree, 35-40K in the US, not always regular business hours and on-call nights and weekends. However, the worst was a lot of counseling agencies are not there to help people but to get money from insurance companies. Which means how you work with clients is determined by their insurance plan. Then supervisors care more about the notes you write to make sure the insurance will accept the session as practical and cover it. There are some amazing counseling centers out there and amazing counselors and social workers. Working against the system for little money just wasn't for me. Yeah, sociology. I loved my classes, but wasn't given any direction as to what I could do with it. Even my professors told me that unless I wanted to teach at a college level, there was nothing to pursue. I know now they were wrong. I'm just too far out of college to go back and I can't find anything that will let me in the door with it. Economics. I kind of wish I would have skipped college altogether and gone into a trade or maybe got an A. I had gotten 2 degrees in social work to be a therapist and got burned out. I am in sales and I love my job. Everything but the pay. I wish Google had certifications for sales that would lead to a remote sales role with a base. Not to say I regret, but don't use. I have master's degree in criminal law and went to 1/2 year of law school. Quit law school to go work in the oil and gas fields making $30 to $35 an hour. Something about being an intern for a law office working for free that I hated and was ready to make some money. I feel that my majors were fitting to me, so I guess I don't regret it, but man is it hard to find a job. I guess ultimately I regret not looking into internships while still in college. Got yelled at work, straight face, just wanted to share what happened today. So I am a cashier and well, everyone in America knows bags are 10C. I asked this lady like 5 times if she needed a bag and she ignored me. I gave her change and receipt and she goes, "Where's my bag?" Nasty attitude, so I replied with, "I asked you if you needed a bag, don't give me that attitude." Then goes to my manager and yelled for everyone in line to hear, "You need to fix her attitude, that's it." LOL, but just wanted to share how people get over 10 cents. Wait, bags are 10 cents? I'm confused. In California you have to pay 10C for bags. Connecticut is about to get on board as well next year. Legislation had been passed on it. Depends where you live. I'm originally from Nevada and never had to pay for a bag. About a year ago I moved to NM and we get charged for each bag used. Bags are free though? Depends on the state/city. Chicago implemented a 7C tax on plastic shopping bags. That was definitely fun to deal with enraged Macy's shoppers on. 10 cents in CA. Not where I live. You pay for any store-bought bags. They're 15C each in Queensland. I purchased 10 high-quality canvas bags for $10 2 years ago and I'm still using them, though. I also purchased 2 insulated bags to put my cold/frozen goods in for another $3 each. $16 well spent, I reckon. Would have spent nearly $200 over the 2 years if I used the same amount of bags. I used 12 if I kept buying the 15C ones each week I went grocery shopping. You're good. Plenty of people not worth your time. Save your time and energy for those you like. I feel worthless after losing my most recent job. It was my first job in the field I went to school for. I was finally involved in electrical draft and design. Things were good. Until they weren't. I was in training when COVID hit. Lost my job in June. I was called unreliable. And it crushed me. I would show up 15 to 20 minutes early every day, never missed a deadline on submittals. But I wasn't enough. I was 200 miles away from anybody I even remotely knew and had no idea what to do with myself except move back home. And I'm so at a loss of what to do. Filling out applications now freaks me out and my self-worth tanks. I have never been fired before, and I don't know what to do to get myself back into the working world. Keep your head up. You're not alone in feeling the stress of job loss during COVID. I don't have any experience with electrical design, but it doesn't sound like it is something just anyone can do. Take some time to gather yourself if you can, then get back out there. You are not worthless. You are a person who deserves love, empathy, and joy. I'd check out Radical Acceptance and Tara Brach's podcast, The Name Is Her Name. If you let yourself comfort yourself for the pain and sadness you have now, you'll grow a lot during this very hard time. Try AirTech. It sounds like they could use someone with your skills. They're a staffing agency, so they might have job openings they're recruiting for in your area, or wherever you'd be able to work. I understand how you feel. Companies will make up any excuse to fire someone during these times. Don't let one company determine your self-worth. The best thing to do is get yourself back out on the job market. Once you have a few good interviews and get an offer, you'll feel your confidence return. Preparing to quit a job because of high school? I just got my first job working full-time packing in a warehouse in addition to online school, leaving me about 10 non-consecutive hours to sleep and do everything else. I plan to quit in April after I make my first 10K so I can have more time with friends and won't lose my mind in my senior year assuming I go back to school in person. I have 2 questions. Would quitting after such a short period of time look bad to future employers if I give an explanation I need to focus more on school? How would I go about quitting/putting in my 2 weeks notice when the time comes? No, won't look bad, you're in high school. Yes, give notice, never burn bridges. Depends how formal they are, write up a quick letter. In short, dear __, thank you for the opportunity, giving my notice last day will be __. Recruiter scam? Hey guys, I applied for a job through LinkedIn and got a call from this guy. He started talking like he was the HR/manager for the company but kind of changed his tune when I asked him to repeat what he said. Then he asked if I had gotten a call or an interview with the company, which he kept calling CMS instead of the name Consumers Energy. It seemed sketchy, so I got off the phone. He sent me this email afterwards. I highlighted where he named the company and where he misspelled the job location. End number X200B, thanks for the help. Sounds like your typical recruiter shitfuckery. Unless the words "I have an interview for you" comes out of a recruiter's mouth, I literally do not care or respond to them. Sounds pretty straightforward. Thanks. Wait, so why are they recruiting you to begin with again? The problem with recruiting/recruiters is that there is no barrier to entry. Any a-hole who loses his/her job can decide to be a recruiter, and most do a terrible job, especially at first. I've recruiting since 1986 and I can see from your experience that you unfortunately interacted with an incompetent newbie. How'd he get my info? This is the first time I've looked into jobs posted on LinkedIn, so I'm not familiar with recruiters whatsoever.
Like and subscribe for more Reddit content. Watch the next video at the top of your screen.